Hey y'all, this is Jamie. Welcome back to my channel, and in today's video I am going to be testing out, giving a little review of the new TRESLUCE La Flor de Mexico shadow palette. But before we get into that, question of the day. What languages are you fluent in? Let me know in the comments down below. Let's go ahead and get into it. Alright, so this brand, TRESLUCE, this is actually Becky G's brand. So her brand has several products that are sold at Ulta. This is where I got this. I actually walked into the store and bought it. I have had it in my cart for a while. I just hadn't really taken the plunge and bought it yet, but it was like right there on a display, like right when you walk into Ulta. So I was like, here's your son. So today, as with all my other review videos, if this is your first time on one of my review videos, I talk about product details, I share a little information about it, where you can find it, how much it is. I go through the application process. In the case of an eyeshadow palette, I take you through my little tutorial of how I created the look that I have on my eyes right now. And then we talk about pros and cons of the product before I give my final rating. And I give ratings in the form of sunflowers. So let's go ahead and get into product details. All right, so before I specifically start talking about this palette, here are just some of the products that TRESLUCE has at Ulta. So there's the La Flor de Mexico shadow palette. There's the Gel Intenso Gel Liner, Like an Artista 8-piece brush set, the I Am Shadow palette, the Bold y Atrevida liquid lip tint, the Ready to Bounce cream blush, the Eterno liquid liner, the Forever Brilliante Metallic Liquid Shadow, the Illusion Premium Vegan Lashes, the I Am Mini Shadow Palette and Lash Set, and then the Line It Up Edge Corrector. This is the only product that I got from the brand, is the La Flor de Mexico palette. I didn't even realize that they had another shadow palette, but this is honestly, that looks like more of a brighter color palette, and this is more of the everyday neutral palette. This is $30. It is available at Ulta, and I'm assuming on the actual brand site as well. But this one takes you on a journey through Mexico with a mix of 18 matte, shimmer, and metallic shades named after beautiful flowers native to the land. This palette is cruelty-free and vegan. So first, let's go ahead and talk about the palette. The actual palette itself is so pretty. Inside the palette, this is actually really cool. It looks like a normal palette, and I love the color story of this, and I love the actual color. This is one of my favorite blues, color blue. It's like it's like a cobalt maybe. What's fun about this palette is that it has a removable mirror. I didn't realize, because I just kept going like this, and I was like, ooh, I don't know that that's well made. It's probably gonna fall apart soon. But this is actually a removable mirror, and it's magnetized, so you can just pull it out and then put it back in, and it stays. Underneath is a little message from Becky G. Primavera is here, a time for renewal, reflection, and when all the beautiful flowers begin to bloom. With our La Flor de Mexico palette, I wanted you all to immerse yourself in Mexico's on-flor season by introducing you to the many plants y flores that are native to this immensely beautiful country. As you sit down to create your most in-bloom looks, imagine yourself walking through all the vibrant and awe-inspiring fields where Mexico's charm is always blooming. So, really cool. So let's go ahead and do swatches. So on the top row, we have the shades Yucca Flor, Morning Glory, Orchid, Birds of Paraíso, Jardín, and Pineapple Sage. On the second row, we have Flower de Mayo, Sword Lily, Petunia, Lady Slipper, Dragon Fruit, and Sunflower. And on the third row, we have Dahlia, Belize, Marigold, Nopal, Passiflora, and Chocolate Cosmos. So this palette does consist of 10 matte shades and 8 shimmers. Now let's go into the look. And I'm gonna show y'all how I created this look right here, which of course is green. I just could not help myself. If you've not watched any of my videos before, green, it's not typically my favorite color, just in general. My favorite color in general is pink, but my favorite eyeshadow color is green. Let's go ahead to the application. All right, so let's go ahead and go into the actual review of this palette, pros and cons. And as always, we are gonna start with cons. So con number one, and spoiler alert, I really only have one con, and it honestly is not that big of a deal to me. So con number one, this does have quite a bit of kick up, and it doesn't really happen. I tried to get it on camera, but I feel like when I'm holding it up like this, you can't really tell. But when I was holding it like this and trying to get it, like I could definitely see a lot of kick up. So what's usually like bad about kick up is not only is it messy, but it tends to waste the product and you end up going through the product quicker. So it's a waste because it ends up being either on the palette or on the floor or on your desk instead of on your eyes. That's the one con that I have for this palette. So moving on to pros of the palette. So pro number one is definitely the removable mirror. So it was nice to be able to just remove this and then just hold this part while I was applying my eyeshadows. I think that's really fun and really functional as well. Pro number two, I really love the color story because at first glance, I feel like it looks like a very like everyday neutral palette, but I do think that it has some of these pops of color that you can do so much with this. Plus, I'm gonna kind of attach this onto the pro of the color story. I love the ratio of mattes to shimmers. I prefer for there to be more mattes than shimmers because I feel like you can create more looks with a palette when you have mostly mattes. And most of these mattes are like, they're different colors, you know? You've got your like khaki and green up here. You've got your more like bone shade and kind of like tan or camel color over here. Then you've got kind of your like peaches and corals here. And then over here we've got more of the like rusty colors. And then over here we've got more of our like deepening shades. So I do like the variety that you get with this palette. Pro number three, I like the aesthetic. I like the aesthetic of this whole brand. I'm usually not a huge fan of blue. That's probably one of my least favorite colors, but there's just something very attractive about this color blue and very like appealing and pleasing to the eyes. I love the fact that I really like a good like teal though. Probably because that's like a mixture of blue and green. Take the blue, throw in a little bit of one of my favorite colors. I love the floral theme as well. I love the floral theme inside. I really like the shade names as well. I do think you learn a little bit more about Mexico with these shade names. So like I didn't know that pineapple sage. I have pineapple sage. Do I have pineapple sage? I at one point have had pineapple sage in my backyard and I didn't know that pineapple sage was really popular in Mexico. And then also finding some of these flowers that I've never heard of before, like lady slipper or passiflora or chocolate cosmos. I think that's really cool. I love the whole theme and the aesthetic of this brand and of this palette. And then finally, the actual quality of these shadows I thought was great. I was actually noticing it even when I was doing my swatches, which I always do my swatches and kind of my inserts. I always do that before I start filming my video. Doing those swatches, I noticed that these performed really well. The matte shades blended really well. You got a lot of color payoff off of them. They were pretty true to the color in the palette. And then the shimmer shades, some of the shimmer shades didn't swatch as well because I think they're a little more packed into the palette than some of the others. But yeah, I loved these shimmer shades, and especially the one that I have on the inner third of my eye. See, you can tell by the mirror the amount of kick up that I had on these shadows, but this one was one of my favorites, the Birds of Paraíso, because it actually looks different in the camera than it does in real life. So in person, this looks almost like a rose gold, but then you like turn it to the side and it has a bit of a green like duochrome shift, and I definitely got that. It looks like straight up green on my lids, so loved that and very excited to use some more of the shimmer shades. All right, so based on the performance of these shadows, based on my pros and my cons, I think you probably know what I'm gonna give it because I tend to give perfect scores very easily, but I do when I'm really happy with something and I can't think of too many negatives about it. So I'm gonna give this a 5. We're gonna give this 5 sunflowers. I really enjoyed it. I'm actually really looking forward to trying out more products from this brand. That was that. So that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already, remember to subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you can be notified when I upload a video every Tuesday and Thursday for beauty videos, every Saturday for BTS videos, plus a couple bonus BTS videos throughout the week. Make sure to leave a comment answering question of the day. Which languages are you fluent in? I myself am only fluent in English, but it's been on my list, my bucket list, to learn a couple of languages. Initially, I had always wanted to learn ASL. It's something I've always been very interested in, especially since I took like 2 or 3 career tests throughout my life, elementary, middle, and then college, and like every single one of them said something about an interpreter for the deaf. So I missed my calling. I didn't pay attention to my calling, I think is what it was. And then I've always wanted to learn more Spanish, which is very helpful in the United States and especially in the area that I live. And then recently, of course, with my love of BTS, I've been wanting to learn Korean. So let me know in the comments down below. Which languages are you fluent in? Which ones are you working on? I would love to know. So that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see y'all in my next one. Bye, y'all.